Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Unsung Season 12, and this is my review on Trick Daddy. Yo, this was a good episode, and I am a big Trick Daddy fan. Me and my brother loved Trick Daddy growing up as kids. I mean, because he was definitely really big when I was like in middle school and high school. So yeah, I couldn't go to any high school function and I didn't hear Trick Daddy being played. So he was definitely a groundbreaking artist, and he helped put Miami on the map. And he gave a new flair because he was hood, he was country, he had swag, and he was very intelligent. And the one thing I definitely liked about him is that he didn't change who he was when he became famous. He's like, hey, I'm famous, but I'm hood rich. I'm gonna bring the hood everywhere I go. You can take me out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of me. So I definitely gravitated towards that because he was a guy that he was a man who was going to be who he was, and no amount of money was going to change who he was. It may change my circumstances, but it's not going to change me. And pretty much, he has 5 gold albums to his credit. He is a legend because he brought a different flair to hip hop that was not there before him. I mean, he literally brought, country hip hop, to the game. And a lot of them failed, and a lot of, when we kind of had to see after Trick Daddy, he was kind of like one of the first, and then we saw many others come after him, who were, who pretty much were from the South. And they had like they had a different flair of music, a different flair of delivery. And he definitely was one of those people that started, country hip hop. And I will definitely give him credit to that. Well, Trick Daddy's government is his name is Maurice Young. He was born in '74. He's from Liberty City, which is known as like Ground Zero in Miami. And also the movie Moonlight, is actually based in Liberty City. And he pretty much grew up in a very notorious, crime-filled environment. His father, pretty much was in jail, and his mother was the single mother of 11 children, and he was the second oldest. And the funny thing about it, because my dad comes from a family of 10 kids, and he's the second oldest. So I definitely, relate. He said that she was a single mother, and he gives utmost praise to his mom, and so do I, because I definitely respect single moms, because I kind of grew up in the similar situation, being a child of a single mother. Everything's on her. She has to be the woman and the man. As far as the parent, the mother and the father. And pretty much, he said that, he started getting into the drug game at the age of 10. It was kind of all or nothing, because he felt that I have to help take care of my brothers and sisters. I got to help out my moms. So, but then, just at an early age, he started getting involved in a lot of crime. He was, he actually beat a teacher with a lead pipe, so he was already, a fireball. So if you crossed him wrong, he dealt with you. And then they said, and his mother actually says that, due to the fact that that he was getting in so much trouble, she sent him to go live with his father. And he said that, yeah, he didn't really, him and his father really didn't have a close relationship, but he developed a very close bond with his older brother, Hollywood. And Trina, who I love heads down, I've always been a big fan of Trina. Trina was actually Hollywood's girlfriend. So that's how Trick Daddy and Trina end up meeting. And his brother, sadly, was actually gunned down, and yeah, so he was his brother was killed at the age of 23. He was actually shot like 30 or 40 times. And he pretty much says that his brother was a good person. His brother believed in him, because his father had a studio. So that began to change, his outlook that, hey, I can rap, I can do music, because at the end of the day, when you're kind of stuck in the situation that you're in, where you're kind of like living at the bottom, you're going to do whatever you got to do to get out of there. Which I actually understand where he's coming from with that, why he got into drugs, why he got into, criminal activity, because, in all honesty, if you're surrounded by that, you think you're pretty much kind of programmed to see that that's all there is. But there was a window that opened, and that window for him was music. So pretty much what ended up happening is that, after his brother got killed, and then, one of his, baby mothers ended up getting pregnant, that changed his life. He's like, okay, I can't do this shit no more, this banging and shit. I got to find another way out. And, he ends up meeting, Luke Campbell, and, Luke pretty much signs him, and well, pretty much what happened is that he was doing a talent show, and Luke saw him, and Luke was Trick won the competition, and that's where Luke was like, okay, I'm gonna work with this cat, and he had also served time in prison, I think back in it was like 91. He pretty much had like 3 kilos of cocaine on him when he was stopped by the police, and he ended up getting 15 years. But he ended up doing 4. But he says within that 4 years, when he was in solitary confinement, he pretty much did a lot of writing. He did a lot of thinking. He did a lot of strategizing. I mean, he says in those times, I honed my rap skills. So when I got out of jail, I was a beast. And he was saying, so when he was sharing this with Luke, that he wrote all these songs while he was in jail, and he wrote about 400 songs. Now that's beast. Now that is talent. That is creative. That's creativity right there, because a lot of times you being by yourself, that's when you really kind of are able to like work out some of your creative thoughts and your creative ideas. So him being in solid confinement all that time, he produced a lot of work. And he actually says that, what his style is that he's, combining rap as well as blues. Because people hear the blues and people hear rap. And pretty much they kind of come from the same branch. And they do. So then they talk about, so pretty much in this they talk about they talk about let's see. So pretty much he ended up not signing with Luke because I think it was due I don't remember exactly why, but if you guys remember, put it down in the comments. I don't want to just jump and say it's for this and I could be completely wrong. But let's just say the deal between him and Luke didn't work out. I mean, they did a song together, I think, but he actually ends up sliding. He ends up meeting Ted Lucas, who signs him to Slip and Slide Records. And, that's when he made his first album, like They Don't Live Long. And he pretty much said that was a true statement, because he said, if you think of all the people we look up to in the hood, the drug dealers, the drug dealers, the guy with the nice cars, the bangers, we look up to them, but a lot of them don't even live beyond the age of 25. That this is thug life, this is real. And some of them, and he says that, look, you either going to sell drugs or you're going to be a drug addict. And he's saying at the end of the day, you only got one or the other. And you had to choose one. And then well actually no, his first album was called Based on a True Story. Because he was saying that, he wanted to showcase that, look, this is real. This is what happens every single day. So it is based on a true story, because this shit that I'm rapping about, I actually lived it. Get it? Smart. And I think the name of the song is They Don't Live Long, which and then his second album, you know, with the song Man that he did with Trina, that helped put Trina on the map, and that went gold. And it was funny because it's like, here it is, she's cussing him the hell out. He's talking all his shit, and then she coming back, she talking her big shit. So pretty much Trina was like the female version of Trick. And we kind of see this a lot, you know, where, you know, the man will kind of find a woman who's like the female version of himself and can stand toe-to-toe with him. You kind of had the same thing with Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. So it's awesome that, you know, that's how Trina was born. She became the female version of him. And then like he was talking about how what made Nam such a big hit was that it was during the Super Bowl. You know, DJ Khaled, you know, is a well-known DJ in Miami, and he's now a big star himself in his own right. You know, they pretty much gave him the track, and he said once he put that track on, the place exploded. So he said that, yeah, due to the fact there was Super Bowl, you know, in Florida, a lot of people from all over the country were there. That's what actually helped make Nam. That's how Nam ended up, you know, becoming gold. You know, and people were kind of like tripping off the fact that Trina was the female version of Trick, and she's cussing Trick out on this song, so it was pandemonium. And it was actually through Trina that he ended up meeting his wife, Joy, because Joy and Trina are cousins. And Joy even said that at first I really wasn't into him like that, but then again, he's a good cook, and that's how he won me over. I was like, I know that's right. Women love a man that can cook, and hey, but he was persistent. He wasn't going to give up on her. And then his third album, you know, was the album he had the song Shut Up. And I remember that was my shit. Like, we were just going through the damn house like, okay, what's up? Shut up. Like, and, you know, I loved that song because there was not a place I didn't go in North Carolina. Because I grew up in Durham, North Carolina, so I grew up in the South. So Trick Daddy was very big in the South. Y'all just don't know. Like, he was huge in the South. So, you know, I'm going to the bus stop. We kind of see people like, okay, what's up? Shut up. like everywhere you go, people were singing that song. And me and my brother used to love that track. We used to be, every time that track came on, we would turn that shit up and just be wilding the hell out with it. So, yeah, that definitely is a memory I will never forget. You know, was when I heard that song, because that song was always playing on BET. You know, I think at the time we still had Rap City, so it was always, sorry about that, it was always playing all the time, so I was all here for that. So yeah, it was like, wow. And he was saying that, look, sometimes people can be, and he said that, yeah, he meant it to be rude and disrespectful and to be all kind of things, because sometimes people don't know when to shut the hell up. So here, this is my song telling you, shut the fuck up, get out my face, leave me the hell alone. So yeah, and that went to the top 20 on the rap charts. So, and the name of the album was Book of Thugs, and that one went gold. And then we got his fourth album, Thugs R Us, and this was my jam too. Take It to the House. MIA, Take It to the House. Yes, that's be my shit. Oh yeah, me and my cousin used to also like the part like when Trina like scoots up and you kind of see her ass and she starts moving it. I was like, Trina, yes. Even though I'm gay, I still love her though. But then, you know, I was like, hey, Trina's sexy as shit. And Trina, you know, definitely, you know, held her own on that song. But yeah, that song was big. You know, they definitely paid, you know, homage to Casey and the Sunshine Band, because that's where they got the beat from. And that went on the top 50 Billboard. So that crossed over into pop. and it's still like an anthem. If you go to like a football game or to like a sports game, you may hear "Take It to the House," and every time you hear that song, people are getting up and they grooving to that shit. Like, that's a song that is always. I mean, that song is just as potent as "We Will Rock You" by Queen, or "Who Let the Dogs Out." These were songs that that are sports anthems, and "Take It to the House" is a part of that now. So you can go to a basketball game and hear "Take It to the House," people will still jam to it as if it just as they did back in the day when it first came out. That song is timeless. So yeah, shout out to Trick. You did that with that one. And then he said that after that he started to get a lot of mainstream recognition. And he pretty much said that, look, you can take the nigga out the city, but you can't take the city out the nigga. It is what it is. And they said that, yeah, he was known to get into fights and stuff like that. Then they said that, look, Trick was the type of dude that even though he was wearing a Rolex, he'll take off that Rolex and beat your ass. He wasn't the type that was going to shy away from the violence. That's ingrained in him because he grew up in the gutter. So due to the fact that he grew up in that, that's a part of him. So even though you got money, who you are is always going to be with you. But then also we started to notice that after a while, those things started to catch up to him. And he was like, yeah, he pretty much started to think that he was above the law. But a lot of these, fights and different situations that he was involved in, they really started to catch up to him, and he started getting charges and things like that. And they were saying that and if anything, Chad Lucas was even saying that I don't even know how he was able to dodge a lot of the shit that was going on then, because he was always in some shit. And he pretty much said that, look, I'm the same dude, I'm a thug. And I could say I'm a thug is his best successful signal to date, because he's kind of telling it like who he is. He's like, look, money don't change me. I am who I am. And I have nothing but respect for a person like that, who just stands in their truth and just owns their shit. He says, like, I have my own mind and I speak my mind, and I'm not easily influenced. That is what makes up a thug. I have my own mind, I speak my mind, I'm not easily influenced, and I pretty much walk my own path. That's what being a thug is all about. So I had to say, like, yeah, because I remember that song too, like, they do because I'm a thug. Like, ooh, like, just, wow, just songs like that just take me back, man. It definitely takes me back to my childhood, and it definitely takes me back to, in my days in high school, because, Trick was really big back then, and I was just like a huge Trick fan because I could relate to him. He was like a guy like that was around my way. I knew a lot of, thugs, growing up, or drug dealers or whoever. We kind of knew some of them in the hood, in the neighborhood. And, he definitely was that guy that was he definitely was a guy that was approachable, but if you fuck with him, he'll take you out, and then, like, he also talks about the song, Let's Go with Lil Jon, how that, went to, that's his first album to go to number 1, and it went on the top 100, and it went number 4 on the rap charts. So he's definitely successful, and then he talks about how, in 2009, him and Slip Inside Records parted ways. The chemistry just wasn't there anymore, and he pretty much created a label with his brother. He actually did an album there, but it didn't sell. And then he also talks about his fight with lupus, which is why he kind of shuns from the public eye, because of, all of the change of the pigmentation and some of the side effects of dealing with this illness. And pretty much he, chose to not take the medication because he said the medication was just as bad as having an illness. So he pretty much was self-medicating, you know, himself through that, pretty much self-medicating, you know, his illness. So pretty much so they pretty much told me that, you know, at a good point that, you know, the drugs became excessive. You know, it was weed, cocaine, and, you know, he started wilding out. They said 2003, you know, he pulled a gun. He pulled a gun on and that he pulled out a gun on someone, and, you know, he ended up going for possession of, and he also, you know, ended up doing time for possession of cocaine and marijuana. But then he said that, you know, from that point on, he started to grow. You know, he started to kind of move past a lot of the negative. He pretty much started to move away from some of the negative aspects of his life. You know, him and Joy finally got married in 2003. You know, so, and, you know, he's a family man. So that's definitely a great positive thing. And, you know, he's still doing music. I mean, he's still working with Trina. You know, Trina's still doing her thing. You know, shout out to Trina, as well as, you know, yeah. So this was a really moving episode. I mean, because we really saw like a guy who literally came from the bottom and went to the top. And even when he got to the top, he didn't change who he was. So I definitely respect that. But then they also said that, you know, pretty much he's you know, if anything, he still gets mad respect up in Miami. You know, DJ Khaled, you know, some of those great acts from Miami, they pay homage to Trick because Trick was one of the first to really help put Miami on the map. So he's always going to have a place in music, and he's definitely going to always be relevant to fans like myself and many others who he inspired, you know, to be ourselves and to be true to who we are and not feel we have to change just because we get a little bit of that. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments, or if you have things, you have commentary and thoughts about this episode, please put them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms, and I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video, and I'll be back with the next episode of Unsung. So until next time, everybody, take care.